Alright, so the question that was asked for us to discuss and answer based on the videos we watched the first question was what caused the issues, in my opinion. And obviously the biggest issue that was brought up and presented in the different TED videos that we watched were the biggest overlying issue that I could see was how women are viewed in society and why they're viewed that way and how it's changing. And I think that just since the beginning of time, and like we discussed in class today, because of strength, because of the nature of women, that both men and women translated that to be a sign of weakness. And we know that in the Proclamation of the Family that men and women are equal partners in the plan on earth, and that Heavenly Father has a certain purpose for both men and women. And I think that in these videos where they talked about this movement and how women are really stepping up and able to do a lot of the tasks more ably than men are, is just a testament to show how women are really stepping up to be equal. And not necessarily to dominate men. I know they discussed a lot about how women are surpassing men in certain areas, but they also discussed how men and women need to work together and collaborate in these areas. One quote that I thought was really funny, it was from Hannah Rosin, and she talked about how the power dynamics between men and women is changing. And she said that she heard a quote when she was visiting a university and talking to some women, and she said, "Men are the new ball and chain." I also think this might be a problem in the future. I'm not sure if this movement is how it's going to continue to go. I think it'll be a long time from now before men are really viewed as inferior as women had been. But I think overall what has caused the issue is just the overall physical appearance and nature of women to be viewed as weak. One of the other question that we have been asked to address is to suggest ideas to solve the issue at hand. So basically, especially in the Hans Rosling video, Rosling really identified that advances in technology are able to free up time for people. And through learning about these different issues that these different developing countries are viewing is and why they aren't able to have time to do anything else, especially to educate themselves, is because they're trying to provide for their basic needs. So before anything can happen, before development can happen, there needs to be a new means of providing basic needs in the family. I really think that, especially looking at my own family situation, comparing myself to my next door neighbor, and then applying this to different families in different countries, I think that a one-size solution definitely wouldn't fit all. But every family and every individual needs to decide what their basic needs are and know what different ways they can meet those needs. And before they can even make those decisions, they need to have different means available to them. So, for example, Hans Rosling talked about the washing machine and how this washing machine was a great thing for him and his family, but the best part about it was his mom. He said, "My mother closed the door on the washing machine and she looked at me and said, 'Now we can go to the library.'" And that is the time that she was able to read to him and teach him, and he was able to grow, and they weren't spending time going to the creek, heating the water, doing the laundry, because it's just hours and hours of a process, and it is a basic need. People need clean clothes, people need to have a clean living situation, they need to have clean food, they need to have cooked food. And if people don't have a resource like an oven, or all they have is fire and they have to sit and tend to it, and that's all they can do because they have to live, and it's not a very meaningful way of life. From the first video that we watched, from Cheryl Wu Dunn, the very first situation that she talked about was a young girl in China, and talked about how it was $13 for this family to send their daughter to school, and they decided eventually that this $13 was too expensive, that they just could not do it. And so they pulled her out of school, said, you're going to be working on the rice farm anyway. And unfortunately for her, she was the highest ranked member of her class. She was very smart. Well, this story, as happenstance maybe, it reached the New York Times, and they wrote about this, and the New York Times received many $13 checks, but then they also received a wire transfer for $10,000 from a very generous individual. With that $10,000, the New York Times donated money to the school, and this girl, along with many others, were able to go to school, receive their full education, and she scored very high on her exams. She was able to go out and get a job. She was able to help provide for her family, and she was able to help find jobs for other girls that she went to school with. Now, because she had this money that was freed up from her family, they could use that money to provide for their basic needs, and then she was in turn able to return the favor. This story is not unusual. It's happened. We've heard a lot of different instances about it in this class, and one of the biggest points that she made after discussing this story was that it's a waste of resources to not educate girls, or people for that matter. You think of how many, millions of people are below the poverty line, and the potential development that could be happening if these people were educated. So my biggest suggestion would be that we look at different ways to help provide those basic needs for people. I was really pleased in the second video they brought up the Heifer Foundation, where the Organization for America sent a goat. I'm not sure which country it was now, but I think it was somewhere in Africa. And this girl, as it may be, she was able to go to school because of a goat and get her education and make a difference. I'm a really big fan of the Heifer Foundation. I was able to participate in a fundraiser for that in high school, and I'm very passionate about it. And I think that what they do by helping others become self-dependent, and then in turn help others become self-dependent, that is what needs to be done. It is an outside help kind of thing. It's not people helping themselves, and as they discussed in the videos, it is kind of controversial. But we're here on the earth together, and everyone needs to share, and these countries aren't going to make it without using the resources of the earth from other places. There's just not enough there, or else they would have already developed by now. And if we can help each of our brothers and sisters, if we can each make a small contribution in some way or another, find something we're passionate about and find a way to help, and give these people the resources to make decisions for themselves, then our world would, I can't even imagine how much more developed our world would be now, even our first world, and how much of a better relationship we would have. So I hope that, especially for myself as I go on with my career, that I will be able to find more ways that I can help and let others be able to make those decisions for themselves.